Hello. Okay. Okay. Sorry for all the clicking, guys. Welcome to episode 1, official episode where I'm actually going to be talking about something that you guys want to hear about. Today I am going to be talking about a request that I got on Instagram because I did ask a couple people for suggestions, and this suggestion was made by Ophelia. Ophelia, you're the baddest of the baddest babes. Thank you for the suggestion. So, the proposition is situationships and trying to find love in the modern day post capitalism society. So, I'm going to try to break those down into 3 situationships and then trying to find love in the modern day, and then the capitalism society, or I guess 2. That's kind of 2 questions. So I will start by saying thank you for listening. This is Minutes with Majesty, and I'm Majesty, as you all know, or I hope you do. If you hear some clicking, it's because I'm trying to focus on doing this application real quick. But I will start by saying that I think the idea of situationships is kind of stupid. I know, like, it's lingo and it's just like a word to understand or kind of like come up with for the situation, but I just feel like it's kind of useless all in all. Like, I never really understood where that came from or why. But I also was raised by my mom and my grandma, so instead of situationships, it's like just called getting to know someone or dating around until you guys become exclusive, and then you guys know the steps. So yeah. I'll start by saying that the word itself is kind of dumb, and I think it's just a little demeaning to both parties because it's just like a situation. And when I think of a situation, I think of like, oh, I'm in a sticky situation right now. I don't know how to get out of it, or like, oh, I'm just having this situation or something. Like, the idea of situation always kind of sounds bad to me, I guess. Like, it starts off really negatively, but it doesn't always have to be negative, I guess. It can be positive too. I just never really find it to be that. I'm going to close this laptop because my ADHD is not letting me focus on 2 things at once. Oh my gosh. Sorry. That was gross. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to your ears. So I don't know if there's a definition. Let me try to look up a definition on my phone to see if we find something. Okay, so there is a definition. Situationship, slang dictionary. A situationship is a romantic or sexual relationship that is undefined and non-committal. People in a situationship are more than friends but less committed than romantic partners. The term situationship is often used to describe a broad range of relationships that involve romance and or sex, and sources often differ on a precise meaning. Common among many definitions of situationship is a lack of commitment. In a situationship, either one or both people are not willing to commit to a long-term relationship with the person at the moment. Also common among situationships is the relationship's undefined nature. People in a situationship may not have discussed what kind of relationship they are in, or may not have even acknowledged that they are in a relationship. The 2 members of a situationship have typically not seriously discussed their relationship with each other, so each person may have a different idea about what exactly their relationship entails and where it will go in the future. A situationship is often discussed as being similar to a friends with benefits relationship, which usually involves sexual activity without a commitment to be exclusive to each other. A situationship is often described as a relationship that is more than a friendship, but less committed than a relationship. A situationship can often vary in what happens within it. It could involve casual sex, romance, dating people, spontaneous meetings, a lack of plans, a lack of emotional connection, or possibly all or none of these things. I think that this is a very good definition, and I'm very surprised that it was actually like a definition on there that was really good rather than just Urban Dictionary saying fucking, because I feel like that's all Urban Dictionary would have said if I clicked on it. I'm going to have to say that I agree with that definition, but I do want to take it a bit further and say that that is kind of what a situationship would look like on paper. Like, that's kind of the cute version of it, and that version sounded terrible. But a situationship actually is, it's kind of like you both know that you want different things, but you're just gonna thug it out. Like you're just basically thugging it out. Like, that's a simpler version to me of a situationship. It's like you both are thugging it out, and you can't seem to stop having sex with each other. You can't seem to stop talking to each other and visiting with each other, but you know it's not gonna go anywhere. It's not gonna do anything. And sometimes you can make it from the situationship to relationship stage, but more oftentimes than not, it always stays at that level of, yeah, this is it, guys. Like, literally, there's nothing else beside it. I personally have had my fair share of situationships, most of which I have ended just because I was just like, it's just not working. Like, we can't keep doing this. We have to let it go. Like, and for someone who's very, like, quick to give up, I do try to just not and like work it out. Like, my best friend always was like, oh my gosh, like, maybe you should try working it out instead of giving it up, because you might like that a little better, like kind of keeping it going. And sometimes you just have to give it up. Like, working out is fine, but if you work it out to the point where it's like, okay, there's two people. One person is saying, I really want a long-term committed relationship. One person is saying, I was just trying to smash. I was just trying to do something casual. And then I ended up catching feelings. So I'm not really in the mood to have a long-term relationship. Maybe we could try short-term, or maybe we can just hang out and have fun, going with the flow. Like, I think that's what replaced the words going with the flow was situationship. And a lot of people still do say, like, going with the flow, but I think a situationship is more of a defined going with the flow kind of thing. And it's to the point where you guys are a little bit exclusive, but you're not, because people know that you're involved, but they also know that you're not dating, but they also know that it might be iffy if they try to assume any kind of connection with you, because you're not an open candidate. You're not really free on the market anymore. Not to say it like that, but you're not really free and open to the possibility and idea of dating, because you're stuck on the possibility and the idea of dating this one person, even though what you guys have going on is very undefined and you really don't know what's going to happen and what's going on. Sorry, I'm sending a text message. So, yeah. My situationships personally, most have ended poorly because of, and not to call myself out here, but my lack of, not communication, but I guess you could say it's communication, and just like delusion and my optimism and stuff. And I'm just very trusting and clingy and very open to the idea. I'm very open to the idea of being in a relationship when I really like someone. I'm so sorry. My phone is out. I just can't do two things at once. I'm about to turn it off. I'm always very open to the idea of a relationship, even when it's times where I don't really want one. But it's just like, I always say, like, it just takes that one person. It just takes that one person to get you back in the game, to get you feeling like you could do it again. And that is something that I have done to myself. Not a lot, but I will say, like, as far as not real relationships go, like, maybe twice. I have done that to myself, and the person is like, oh, I'm not really ready for a relationship. I'm not really ready for that right now. And I'm just like, well, okay. And I think I just kind of put it in my head that, like, maybe I could change their mind because they changed my mind. But it kind of sucks to find out like, oh, that's not possible because they got it like that, but you don't got it like that. Like, you can't just change someone's mind like that. But I had to get out of that and realize that some people are just very firm on what they believe, because there are a lot of things that I'm very firm on that nobody could change my mind on, whether or not they're the quote unquote right person to come along and change it. So it's just kind of things like that. Like, I feel like situationships could go a lot better if you both just are upfront on what you want and you're willing to hold to your standards and your morals and hold on to what you want and tell yourself like, this is not what I want, and walk away. Or this could be fun, let me explore it. Because if you are entering this with someone and you know, and your heart is set on a relationship, then maybe you shouldn't do it. But if you're entering it and you know that your heart is set on just having fun right now and doing something casual, then maybe you shouldn't try to enter a situationship with someone who's already ready and willing to date. Because at that point, it's just like you both are kind of just playing. Well, you're playing with them for the majority, but once they find out, you know, they're playing along. You guys are just playing around, and it's just a waste of time. It's very lacking in the emotional department, I feel, because you guys are kind of both just pouring your hearts out to each other, and it's just not really working. My friend is here. You can sit in here and listen if you want. Sorry. Yeah. So my verdict on that is that situationships suck, and you should not do it to yourself, because it's useless and a waste of time unless you're actually ready for that and you think that's fun. But if you don't, and you're going to play yourself and you're going to end up looking silly. Second part of the question. Trying to find love in the modern day post-capitalism society. That's so loaded and sick. To hell, Ophelia, actually. You are still the baddest, but I don't know why you wrote that in there. I think that it can work if you tell the truth. If you just go out and you know that you don't want to involve yourself with someone who's broke, but you do it anyway. I'm not going to lie. Yes, victim blaming sucks, but kind of getting what you deserve at that point, because you're not even really thinking. You're not even trying to tell yourself like, oh, this is something that I wouldn't want, and I couldn't just dare fall in love with someone like this. But you do it anyway, and you trick yourself into thinking that it's okay, and then you end up miserable for no reason, because you know that that's not what you want, and you know that, yes, capitalism is eating all of us up, but you know that you are suffering from it terribly, and you can be extremely materialistic, and you would like to be the spoiled and not the spoiler, but you get with someone that you're having to spoil and support. You're being very silly. And if you know that you're someone who would like to be spoiled, and you tell them like, oh, I got all the money for us, I can do this, and then that person turns around and asks you for something, and you have an attitude, or you throw it back in their face, you're being silly as well, because you shouldn't have even set yourself up for something like that. Like, I feel like it's only hard because the communication is terrible all around, every gender, every race. It's horrible, and nobody really listens to each other, and you don't really listen to yourself and tell yourself what you want either. So you're just willing to settle for whatever you can, because you feel like, I'm never going to find anything because love is so scarce and nobody in this generation wants to fall in love anymore. But you can, and we all are capable of falling in love, but you're just choosing to fall in love with degenerates, and you know that you want to fall in love with someone who's not a degenerate. Like, I just don't understand why people do that to themselves. It doesn't make sense. Give me a second, I have to respond to a text message. Yeah. I will give you guys the definition of modern day post capitalism. society. Ugh. Post-capitalism is said to be possible due to major changes brought about by information technology in recent years. Oh, that's not. Post-capitalist society meaning knowledge rather than capital, land, or labor is the new basis of wealth. The classes of a fully post-capitalist society are expected to be divided into knowledge workers or service workers, in contrast to the capitalists and proletarians of a capitalist society. Okay, well, I should have looked up the definition first because, but I also don't know if that's what Ophelia meant. But if we're going by that definition, I mean, I feel like I'm still kind of on brand. Like, if you want to fall in love with someone who's not a degenerate and you fall in love with someone who's illiterate, then you're kind of at the bottom of the barrel. And if you know you want to be at the top, then why don't you actually just go for what you want? And I know that can be really hard because a lot of people think that what they want is unrealistic or out of their league, but it also really never hurts to try because you'll be surprised. You'll truly be surprised. And there's some couples out there and you'll be like, oh, I could just never see it. I just don't understand it. And it just started with a simple conversation or somebody made a simple joke. And just like that, boom, going strong 10 years. But you're afraid to say hi to your crush on the way to class. Big up my sisters. Yeah. We're getting very close to 20 minutes and I really don't know what else to say. I feel like I really didn't answer that last question too great because I kind of didn't really understand it that well. And like, I feel like I did, but I didn't. And I feel like I got really off topic. So yeah, I hope I answered that question great enough for you guys. And if I didn't, Google is free. And if you didn't like the answer, then take it up with yourself and write it in your journal and maybe send me a hate mail and I'll do better. But until then, you're going to have to just deal with what you got. And what you got is what I said. I don't know, you guys. Maybe we should just start learning to just take a chance. You know, it just starts with a simple hello. And if it doesn't work, then hey, on to the next. Like, that might sound horrible, but I feel like the easy answer to both of those questions is just communicating. Like, yeah, talking is gross, but it's really mainly only one of the ways you'll be able to interact with people and tell them what you do and don't want and make it easier to fall in love in a modern day post-capitalism society. It's just pissing me off. That's a long ass fucking question. Don't even make no damn sense. Okay, well, I know this is 18 minutes and it was really short, but it's because I genuinely actually don't have anything to say, because both of these topics are things that I can answer really quickly and not really ramble about all night because I just really don't have the interest to, I guess. Not that I don't have the interest. There's really nothing else more that I can say or any more advice that I can give on both of those other than just learn to express what you want. Learn your standards. Maybe write them down. Write down your standards and your deal breakers. Write down your type, your ideal type. Write down what you want in the future. If you want a family or not. like just anything long term. Write down if you want something long term or you want to continue to do short term things. Because if you put it in writing, then you'll be able to just read it and reflect on it and change it as you go. But if you keep it in your head, then it could be easily persuaded and manipulated by other people that are telling you and getting in your head and telling you like, oh, that's not right. You could do this different. You could do that different. And you could do this better and you could do that better. But at the end of the day, it's your life, not theirs. So slay queens and kings and monarchs. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.